All right, we are live with our, I don't know, every 6 weeks or so StreamYard with my buddy Fernando. Um, you guys seen him before. Every time he's on, we get a great response. But both of us, Fernando, when do you post your videos on social media? What
I'm
days?
I'm doing the Monday Minute and Fern
Okay.
Rabbit Friday.
All right. So and then I do my videos on Wednesdays, usually around this time, and then I do them on every single Saturday morning. But I posted a video. Actually, you commented on two of my social media posts recently, and it kind of goes into our talk today about challenging yourself. So the first one was I was talking about broad-based fitness for longevity, and one of the four parts was sprinting, and I really believe that sprinting is underutilized and probably the best exercise you can do for the benefits in a short period of time. And you commented on something that you saw somewhere, and I don't remember what it said, but something along the lines of we don't sprint ever after we're 20 years of age. Was that what it was?
95% of us will not sprint after 20. Yeah, which is
Okay.
wild.
So think about that. So now if I'm saying that sprinting is a crucial part of health and wellness and its benefits from bone density to human growth hormone to mood boosting, and none of us are doing it, or 95% of us aren't doing it after 20, that's pretty stark. And the reason for this talk today is challenging yourself. And I admit that is I don't like that workout, Fernando. It's
Hmm.
hard. It's hard for me. I plan it usually a week ahead, and I dread it. But afterwards, I feel rejuvenated, and I feel great, and I feel good about myself. When you challenge yourself, do you have those same types of feelings, or no, or sometimes?
That's a good question. I honestly have really trained myself to find a lot of joy in the pain.
You
And we've talked about this. And because I know that there is this radical benefit, I lean on that. And when I'm certain something is not hurting me in this traumatic way, I know that it's doing the exact opposite, that it's growing me and that it's benefiting me. So there are these sort of plateaus that happen where it kind of stops being that hard, and then the difficulty with me is then finding another really hard thing to start, because that is where it's less about knowing the anticipated pain and more about the uncertainty of the workout. So for me, it's not the difficulty, it's the newness, that going out and starting something brand new that challenges me. And so yeah, I think I answered that question. I'm not
Yeah.
even sure.
Do you think you could sprint with the injuries that you have sustained in your lifetime?
Absolutely. And I was told that this was something that I wouldn't,
Right. That's why I
be
asked.
actively doing. And I actually have a routine. I do get myself to sprint. There's a hill near my house that I have my son and I stand at the bottom. We sprint to the top, we jog down, and we tag each other in. So we do about 10 rounds, sprinting up the hill, jogging back down, just to, keep the gears turning.
That's great. The other social media post was I challenge myself with running a 5K, usually with my boys, and I try to explain to them at 50 years old, running a 5K at max effort is tough for this old guy, and it takes me a several several days to recover. But you were looking at the picture of me at the finish line, and you were like, I think you said something like smile, Noah. And you're right. I should have absolutely smiled when I was crossing the finish line. But you talk about this often too when you do something challenging. The way you place your face can have a tremendous impact on how you feel and how and the whole process of this whole thing. I'd like you to share that.
Yeah, well, we have essentially three tools at our disposal at any given time being a human being. You have your breath is a tool, your body is a tool, and your awareness is a tool. So when I'm running a race, one of the things that I'm hyper aware of is one, my breathing, what I'm doing with my face, because that's gonna add or deplete from my fuel. If my face is tight and tense, one, I know I'm losing breath. I know I'm not actively breathing because there's energy wasted here in my face. The other thing is, because the brain is relying so much on the input from your face, if it's frowned, then I'm in a sort of emotional state that this sucks. This is not fun. I don't want to do this. And it's getting harder and harder with each step. One of the things that I do, this is software, right? Because running requires some software, very much a hardware exercise, but I'm in my head going, damn, I'm lucky. Damn, this is fun. Look at all these people running with, or look at that bird, look at these trees. Man, I'm lucky. I'm not just aware of this race. I'm aware of what my mind is doing as I'm acting, because that fuel will change how, one, I run this race, two, how I recover from this race. Now, you said this, you said, I'm old, this old guy. You made actual statements that limited your hardware from a software component. Now, sure, we've aged, but we can point out to a couple of, research and books and podcasts on how aging is no longer a physical process. That is this matching of form and data and belief structure. Because I've read that the brain unlocks after 50 even. There's an entire area that's kind of like unused or underutilized rather. And that you can teach an old dog new tricks. In fact, the old dog can be way more focused and less distracted when it's trying to learn at a later stage, where we may have this propensity to want to move around a lot when we're younger, so we can't actually learn as fast as that old dog. So a lot of what we're saying to ourselves is deteriorating the medicine, the benefit. Now, the cool thing about this whole conversation that we're having is right after you and I spoke, and we were kind of like, hey, what are we going to talk about? Like, what should we talk about? And we were like, I don't know. And then you were like, how about like pushing yourself, like motivating yourself? And I was like, all right, yeah, that sounds great. The next day, the very next day, I pick up a book that I haven't finished reading because I've been jumping into my book club. And this was like a book I chose, and it was Dopamine Nation. I read 1-2 pages, I turn the page, and the next chapter is on hormesis. Have you ever heard of this?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, challenging you. Yeah, it's like a cold bath is hormesis. Yeah,
it's the science of pain, of actually stimulating growth through pain. And there is a ton of, analogies and examples, but you really are operating. And when we say, human beings are pain avoiding and pleasure seeking, when you make those statements, that's where you're putting someone in a crutch. Because the idea of pain versus pleasure is when you push the pain lever, you're actually increasing. Every action has the equal and opposite reaction. What goes up must come down. So after the pain stimulus, after the cold dip, after the sauna, after the workout, after the sprint, there's this jolt in pleasure. There's this increase of joy that was a result of a pain, not an act all in of itself. And you said it, and we said it, 95% of people are stopping sprinting. They're stopping pain, okay? They're literally stopping pain and discomfort, so they're stopping pleasure, joy, happiness. This is also an accurate stat. We are sitting 50% more than we were 10 years ago. So just 10 years ago, we already know exercise is beneficial. We already know hormesis exists. We already know that we need pain to feel pleasure. And yet we're becoming more and more sedentary, finding more and more ways to comfort ourselves. And so by doing that, we're increasing our pain threshold. Because it's like this, this is actually, it's an awful study, but they did this to dogs. They put these little electrodes on their back paws and they zapped them with volts of electricity. Zzz. The dog jumped up in the air, yelled, screamed, ran around the room, hid, and then afterwards had this jolt of energy and joy and happiness. They called it the zoomies. The dog would run around, it's like, feel great. The next time they zapped the dog, the exact same voltage, the dog hurt less, like physically had less pain, but it also had less zoomies, less joy, less pleasure. So when they increased the pain stimulus, they increased the pleasure stimulus. Now, if you decide to give yourself pleasure, then you're also giving yourself pain. If you decide, I'm going to eat this carton of ice cream, I'm going to watch and binge this Netflix, you flood your pleasure balance zone. And so guess what happens? What goes up must come down. So now you've increased your level of pain and suffering because essentially like you were trying to hack nature and give yourself this enjoyment when you didn't earn it, when you didn't work for it. And human beings have tried to hack every part of nature. Oh, it's hot outside? Oh, turn the AC on. Oh, it's cold outside? Oh, no, that's fine. Go in the sauna, turn the heat on. And this is another one of those things where we're trying to avoid something uncomfortable and expecting to feel good about it. It's an epidemic, but we're starting to understand this on a cellular level. You have to feel it. And like you said, right after I run, I feel great.
Yeah. Have you read The Comfort Crisis?
No.
I believe it's Michael Easter. I might have the name wrong, but it's an amazing book, and it's all about what you said the word comfort just a couple minutes ago, and that's The Comfort Crisis is a great. This guy challenges himself beyond maybe not too much, but it's a great book, and so if anybody's looking for a book on this topic, The Comfort Crisis is a great book. Do you consider handstands challenging yourself?
Yes. Yeah, because there's so many levels and there's so many ways to do a handstand. And also, I'll tell you what, the handstand itself is actually getting easier and easier. I'll tell you what's getting harder and harder. Trying to advance the handstand. I'm trying to plateau beyond a standard handstand and going to one arm, or even trying to change descents, change speeds, move really slow and come down really slow. So those things still make a handstand incredibly difficult. So I feel like for me, I can, and this is actually I would say a more like recent, I would call it technology, skill-based exercise. So like just going to the gym and saying, I just want to work out, right? It's fine. It's hard to find motivation, especially if you're not into fitness. But if you see someone do a skill that, wow, inspired you, and you're like, man, I want to be able to do that, then a skill-based exercise routine is getting you not only fit, but it's getting you equipped and adept at something that you're not currently able to do. So it's increasing a skill that's going to build your confidence, and you can see, I would say, like faster progress. Oh, I wasn't able to do this. Now I can do that. Instead of kind of noticing, oh, maybe I lost 2 pounds or I gained 2 pounds of muscle. It's harder to visualize that stuff. But to see your exercise building technique and stamina and form, it's adding sort of more motivation because you're seeing this progress.
So give me another example of that.
So like training to be efficient at handstands, or training to try and be a really good arm balancer, or trying to work on mastering the split or the wheel, or like finding, some pose that you really want to nail, and then building a routine that's going to help you get there.
Oh, that's what your whole handstand classes revolves around, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And lastly,
Mhm.
you did a Spartan race a couple months ago, and I would assume that that was a nice challenge for you, and you did it pretty successfully, right?
Definitely. And I didn't train for it. In fact, one of my coaching clients, I was urging him, what are you going to do that you haven't done? What have you been wanting to do and challenge yourself? And this was it. He's like, I'm going to sign up for this race. And I was like, I'm going to sign up with you. And he is in the world. He's in the fitness world, and he owns a strength and conditioning gym. And his goal, he had a goal. He had a time in his mind that he wanted to get under. Okay. My goal, it's all I had, was to finish it happy and healthy with no injury and not need recovery. Right. And I didn't have time to train, but I never doubted that this was going to be daunting. I was just like, I'm going to be fine at this. I had a very positive outlook. I always lean on whatever it is I'm going to do it well. I'm going to be good at it because I have a framework. I have, a physical practice. So I started incredibly slow. Everybody was passing me. The guys I went with, the girl I went with, everybody was passing me. I was moving so slow, but it was super comfortable pace. Like it felt so easy. It was like enjoyable. And I was watching everything and hearing everything. And from this pace, I was like, you know what? I could go faster. And I would start to go a little faster, just a little bit faster, but keeping the same emotion, keeping the same gait, the same breath pace, just quickening, the speed. And it slowly started to build. And I started to get a pace that was within my range of challenge, but also still comfortable. And I just started blowing by people. And I passed, folks that I knew, but I was just kind of like in my own world and talking to myself about how lucky I am to be doing this and how fortunate I am and how I'm going to be fine and all this, yada, yada, yada. I passed my client, and he told me later after the race, he goes, oh, he's going too fast. He's going too fast. He's not going to make it. He's like, and he said, he goes, I planned on catching you, and I waited for a straightaway. And when I looked down like a couple 100 yards, you were nowhere to be found. So I finished the race in like the top 20% or whatever in my age group. And overall, I was super happy. All the guys couldn't believe that I did that well. And I taught a 3-hour workshop the very next day on mobility. So the guys couldn't walk for a couple of days. They were like, bathing and bathing. But I really believe that, one, it was the state that I entered it, super positive, super capable and confident, and how I was breathing, so aware of my breath and how I was running the whole time. And then if I felt myself getting a little like, oh shit, I was like, damn, you're lucky. Damn, you're awesome. Man, it's beautiful out here. And I was like pulling energy from the trees, the squirrels, the birds, anything I can lean on, but stayed really high emotionally and felt great before, during, and after.
If you do it again, I want to run one. I want to do one. So
Definitely.
keep that in mind. So I have two final questions for you.
Yeah.
One, do you have any classes coming up, or how's your course? Like where we stand on that?
I'm pretty much done. I'm waiting for my guys to finish the site. I'm hoping to hear back from them in the next few weeks. They were in Bali filming somebody else's course. My filming is done. They're just kind of piecing the text and videos in sequence, but I'm hoping in the next few weeks. I'm planning to roll out a little virtual container for men and women. I've been kind of leaning just on men's work, but I'm doing a virtual course probably starting in mid-August, and it'll be an 8-week container. We're going to do hardware and software, my favorite stuff. But I will release that formally in the next couple of weeks. I'm doing a ton of traveling in July, so I'm just kind of doing my own practice for now.
Okay. And then lastly, if you and Zach want to do a sprint workout with me on a Tuesday or Thursday morning or a Tuesday evening, I'll leave that in your court. You reach out to me and I'll meet you down at the county track and we'll do it.
100%. You could lock us in for that.
All right, buddy. Keep us in touch. We'll be back here in a couple weeks, and that's it. Any last words?
That's it, brother. Small steps, deep breaths. That's it.
Small steps. All right, man. Bye-bye. Take care, buddy.
So long, pal.